Have you ever felt so low that you could not feel the presence of God? Have you ever felt so low that it felt like you had no life left in you? Have you ever felt so low that you realized no human could help you? Have you ever felt so low when all you could do was cry out, Lord, lift me up? We're going to look at a psalm today where an individual felt this way. Where an individual kind of writes in 12 short verses a story of an incident where he went through this. These very same feelings, these very same emotions. And the only thing that keeps echoing over in the psalm, you can hear him, is saying, Lord, lift me up. And we see in this story that the Lord did lift him up. And that's the story for us today. When we feel so low, we're going to look at the process this man went through, the different stages he was in when he cried, Lord, lift him up. And when the Lord finally lifted him up, he even continued to ask God to lift him up so he could go out and do something with what he learned about when the Lord lifted him up. And I pray that we can also draw strength from this psalm, that when we find ourselves so low that it feels like God is not there, when we feel ourselves so low that it feels like nobody else can help us, we will remember this whole process that this man went through, that we remember we can go through the same process and the Lord will lift us up. This short occurrence happens in the book of Psalms, Psalm chapter 30. So please, if you would, join me in reading Psalm chapter 30, all 12 verses, beginning in verse 1. The psalmist begins, I will exalt you, Lord, for you lifted me up out of the depths and did not let my enemies gloat over me. Lord my God, I called to you for help, and you healed me. You, Lord, brought me up from the realm of the dead. You spared me from going down to the pit. Sing the praises of the Lord, you his faithful people. Praise his holy name. His anger lasts only a moment, but his favor lasts a lifetime. Weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning. When I felt secure, I said, I would never be shaken. Lord, when you favored me, you made my royal mountain stand firm. But when you hit your face, I was dismayed. To you, Lord, I called. To the Lord, I cried for mercy. What is gained if I am silenced? If I go down to the pit? Will the dust praise you? Will it proclaim your faithfulness? Hear, Lord, and be merciful to me. Lord, be my help. You turn my wailing into dancing. You remove my sackcloth and clothe me with joy, that my heart may sing your praises and not be silent. Lord my God, I will praise you forever. Can you hear the story? 12 verses, this man tells a story. A story where he found himself in a place where all he could do was cry out, Lord, lift me up. And we see he begins in his crying in his story. He says, Lord, lift me up. I am in trouble. I am in trouble. He describes his trouble using two metaphors. One is called the grave or the realm of the dead, and the other one is called the pit. Ancient Israelites had this idea of the place of the dead called Sheol. It was a place where all the dead bodies went. And this place was where nothing lived existed. Therefore, if nothing was living there, nobody was there praising God. And since nobody was living there and nobody was praising God, then God was not there. The trouble he is in makes him feel like he is dead. He doesn't have anything inside of him to say he wants to praise God. He feels like he is in among the dead in this place called Sheol. He feels like he's in a place where God is not present. It feels like God has pushed him away and put him in the grave. He's in this place where he can't even lift up praises to God. He feels like he's been put in a pit. Now understand this concept of pit. All we got to do is go back to the book of Genesis when we know the story very well, where Joseph made his brothers very jealous, and they took him and threw him into a pit out in the desert. All a pit is this thing we call a cistern. A cistern was a very deep hole that was dug for one purpose and one purpose only, to catch rainwater, to take the water that could be used. It was dug very deep. It was dug in such a way where sunlight could not very well get into it because the water needed to stay cool and pure. And the thing about it, there were no steps into this cistern, into the hole. The whole purpose was you took a rope with either a bucket or a big old clay jar and you lowered it into the water and you picked it up. The psalmist, to me, is saying he feels like he is that bucket at the end of that rope. That he has been lowered into that pit, in a place where it's dark. He can't even see what's going on around him. He's in a place where he cannot climb up out of that pit. If you look at buckets or clay jars, last I looked, they could not climb up on walls and climb out of that cistern. They could not take the rope and use it to jimmy himself up. He was in a place where he felt helpless. He is in trouble. Yes, could there be other buckets lower down with him? Yes, but those buckets cannot help him come out. It's going to take somebody else that's out in the world, out in the light, to take that rail or pull that rope to lift him up. He cannot do it. The psalmist realizes he is in trouble. Have you ever been there, church, where you felt like, I am in trouble? I am in a place where I can't even feel the presence of God. I'm in a place where I can't even see the presence of God. I'm in a place where I can't even perceive the presence of God. I'm in a place where nobody can help me. No human person can help me. I'm in a place where I can't even help myself. Like the bucket, I am at the end of my rope, in the dark, swinging, hanging on, and somebody can't help me. Only God can help me. Have you ever been there, church? The psalmist is very clearly describing, I am in trouble. And he's crying out, I'm in trouble. He's like, Lord, lift me up, because I'm in trouble. Only you can save me. Nobody else. No other person. Lord, you need to grab the rope and pull me up. Lord, you need to take the handle and crank it to pull me up out of here. I'm hanging on by the rope, and I'm in the dark, and I can't do Lord, lift me up. I'm in trouble. But the man continues on hollering, Lord, lift me up. Because see, he comes to a realization. He's done something wrong. Lord, lift me up. I've done wrong. The man goes back and begins to examine. And this is the conclusion he comes to. I am in trouble because of my own self. My self-arrogance, my self-dependence. I am in trouble. In the middle, right in the middle of this psalm, I think it's verses 5 and 6 or 6 or 7, the psalmist talks about, I am on the mountaintop of God. I am secure. Nothing will shake me. God has got me tethered on that high mountain. God's got the rope. He's got me tied on the mountain where I can't fall. I've got crampons and spikes on my feet. I am standing firm. There is nothing that can blow me off this mountain. There is nothing that can make me fall off the course of God. I stand strong. I stand firm. Nothing's going to blow me off of this mountain. Nothing's going to deviate me off the path that God has set before me. Sound like an arrogant attitude, folks? Does it? And then something happens. The tether breaks. The rope unties. The crampons or the spikes come off his feet. And like a person free falling through the air, the psalmist finds himself falling off the mountain of God. And he crashes into the valley. And he realizes, I am no longer in the presence of God. And the sad thing is, it was because of me. Because of me. I relied on something else besides God. Scholars have debated over what this psalm referred to. Some believe it was written by David during a time when David, on his own, took a census of the fighting men of Israel, against what God had said. Do not count the fighting men. They didn't have a standing army back then. Back then, everybody was trained to fight, all the men of a certain age. And when it was time to go to battle, you did a bugle call. Everybody came running, and you went to fight. But you never really understood how many was around. And God had specifically told the kings, you do not count, because now you have a tendency to depend more on that military force than you do me. And many scholars believe this was a punishment God brought to David, because against God's command, David counted the fighting men and recorded one day the amount of army, the size of his army. Others believe that it was written either during or after the Israelite exile. A time when the whole nation, because of their own self-arrogance, their own turn away from God, we can kind of do whatever we want to. Do you remember the idea that the Israelites had? We're God's people, so therefore we are privileged. This is God's house, so surely we could not do anything that would hinder him to destroy his house, right? This is God's city. He would do nothing to destroy this city, right? So we see them begin to follow the way of the world. They begin to bring the false gods and idols into the church. They begin to oppress the poor. They begin to take the land away from the other people. And then next thing you know, God said, that's about enough of this, and God brought them down. Some scholars believe this was written from that point of view. From whatever point of view it came from, it's very clear. The psalmist realizes, somehow I brought this on myself. I became arrogant, saying, my path won't stray. I won't turn away. Can you hear the echoes of somebody else that said that many years later in the New Testament? My path will never stray. I'll never run away. Everybody else can run away, but I'll never run away. And what happened? Peter, when Jesus says, I'm going to die, Peter says, if everybody else runs away, I'll never run away. Can you hear the echo of that in the psalm? Now, am I saying everything that bad to us happens because we've turned from God? Well, yes and no. No, that every bad event happens to us because of that. No. But in a way, yes, because let's face it. We see from the Garden of Eden, we are people of choice. We're people of free will. God allows us to do that. And because our first humans chose to do things our own way, what has happened to the rest of us? Bad things are going to happen to us whether we like it or not. So in a way, it is we have chosen a way to do things our way. It is in a way, as a human race as a whole has chosen to be self-sufficient and self-arrogant, that now we find ourselves at times falling off the mountain of God, being out of His presence. And the psalmist realizes, I've done wrong. Lord, because I've done wrong, lift me up. I fell off your mountain. Lift me up, Lord. I need to get back. Lord, lift me up. I have fallen into the valley where it is dark, and I can't feel your presence. Then the psalmist makes a proclamation that we all should make when he comes to that realization. Lord, lift me up. I need help. Lord, lift me up. I need help. He says a very short but powerful 3-word prayer. He asks God, and really it's a command. He's almost commanding God 3 things. God, hear me. God, be merciful to me. God, help me. Hear me, God. I feel so far away from you. Hear me, God. I can't even tell if your ears to me. Hear me, God. Do you even see me? Hear me, God. Do you know I'm here? Hear me, God. Can you see my pain? Can you hear my dismay? Can you hear my wailing? Can you hear my crying out to you? Can you hear me? Can you see I am scared to death? I'm dismayed. I'm terrified because I have failed from your presence. I am scared to death. Lord, I need you to hear me. Lord, be merciful to me. Can you look up on me with favor because I'm in trouble? Lord, can you have compassion on me? Can you have empathy and feel the pain I'm going through? Can you feel for me because I'm in agony? Lord, can you look on me and from this trouble. Lord, I need your help. No one else can help me, only you. Lord, I need your help. I know what I've done, and I know it was wrong. Lord, I need your help. I know it was you that brought me here. You were the one that took my feet off the mountain and made me slide down the valley. But Lord, I need your help. You see what I'm going through. I can't even feel that you're here. I can't receive your presence. I'm hurting, Lord. I can't even praise your name. Only you understand. You're the one that brought me here. So you are the only one that can help me, Lord. Lift me up, Lord. I need your help. I'm hurting. I'm in trouble. I've done wrong. Only you can help me. Will you? Will you? And you know an amazing thing? God does help the psalmist. God does help those who come to him. God does help those who have fallen off his holy mountain. The psalmist writes, Lord, you took my wailing, my out loud crying, my screaming in pain and agony. You have taken a situation that made me so sad and broken, and you made it into a party. You made me dance. Lord, you took that sackcloth I wore, you loosened it, and you took it off of me, and you took the cloth of joy, and you girded up my loins, you covered over my shame, you have me forgiven, and you got me to dancing, Lord. You got me to dancing. Because you did answer my prayer, Lord. Lord, you taught me that this pain and suffering is not forever. It only lasts a short time. It is like the guest who comes to a hotel to stay a few nights. The guest comes for a reason and comes for a specific time. But once the reason is over and the time is done, the guest leaves. Lord, I've learned that. This is not all the time. This is there for only a reason. When I'm in the middle of doing wrong, that's when that pain comes. But when I cry out to you in the morning prayers, Lord, when the new day breaks, I have a new day. I have a new beginning. Because it was then that you heard me and answered me and gave me a new beginning. And Lord, because of that, I need you to lift me up. I need to share that with other people. I need the other people to know. I need to let the rest of the faithful people know that, Lord, you heard my prayer. And Lord, you lifted me up. And Lord, when I called out to you, you answered me. And the pain is not forever. It's only for a short time. It's like the guest that comes to a hotel. And Lord, I can't remain still because of it. You know what that idea of still means? Not only speaking and telling people, but the whole body can't be still. Lord, in praise and worship you and remember what you've done. I'm going to worship you in dancing and hands and speaking. I will worship you with my whole being, in my breath, in my ears, with my sight, with my voice, with my heart, with my feet, with my hands. I'm always going to testify how you were always faithful. There are times when we're not faithful, Lord, and we'll fall off that mountain, but you are always faithful. You give us an opportunity to come to you. You give us a time to pray, and you do answer us, and you do take us, and you do put us back on the mountain, and you tether us up again, and you give us the spikes to stand firm again, and you put us back on the path. Lord, lift me up, so I may tell others how you have redeemed me. But do we? Do we follow the example of the psalmist? When we find ourselves in that dark place, when we find ourselves at fallen off the holy mountain of God, when we find ourselves when we can't feel the perception or even see God, feel like we fell out of his favor, feel like he's not there, feel like his eye's not on us, feel like his ear doesn't hear us, do we realize we're in trouble? Ask Lord to lift us out of trouble. Do we realize we're wrong, we've done something wrong? Asking God to help us, to redeem us, to realize what we've done wrong and get us back on the path. And when he does, share it with other of his followers. Lord,